Have some of America's biggest artists quietly given BTS members unforgettable surprises without most fans realizing it? Some moments happened backstage, some unfolded in public, and every one of them is backed by real events. But which surprise left the biggest impression? Number 8. A backstage invitation, Charlie Puth. Charlie Puth's connection with Jungkook became one of the clearest examples of a genuine professional relationship developing into an unexpected collaboration. Long before they officially released music together, Jungkook had openly mentioned that he admired Charlie Puth's songwriting and vocal ability. During multiple live broadcasts, Jungkook even covered Charlie's songs, introducing millions of BTS fans to his music while demonstrating just how much he respected the American singer-songwriter. That admiration eventually reached Charlie himself. Instead of remaining a distant celebrity interaction, Charlie responded positively to Jungkook's praise and publicly acknowledged his appreciation. Their relationship became much more visible in 2018 when both artists appeared at the MBC Plus X Genie Music Awards in South Korea, where Charlie performed and later shared the stage with BTS. Behind the scenes, they spent time together, exchanged conversations, and demonstrated mutual respect that extended beyond a simple promotional appearance. What made the moment feel special was that Charlie was not obligated to build a connection with one of the world's biggest K-pop groups. Yet he consistently treated Jungkook as a fellow musician rather than simply another celebrity. Years later, that relationship unexpectedly evolved into something much bigger. In 2022, Charlie invited Jungkook to collaborate on the single Left and Right. Rather than presenting Jungkook as a featured guest with minimal involvement, Charlie repeatedly explained in interviews that he wanted Jungkook because of his unique vocal tone and musicality. He also shared behind-the-scenes footage showing how naturally they worked together inside the recording studio. Fans quickly noticed that the atmosphere between them looked relaxed rather than scripted, reflecting a partnership built on genuine artistic chemistry. Number 7. A stadium stage surprise, Coldplay. Coldplay's relationship with BTS gradually became one of the most respected partnerships between a Western band and a K-pop group. Before they ever performed together, members of BTS had publicly expressed admiration for Coldplay's music, while Coldplay frontman Chris Martin spoke positively about BTS and the global impact they were making. Their connection reached a new level in 2021 with the release of My Universe, a collaborative single performed by both artists. Instead of treating BTS as featured guests, Coldplay made them equal partners in the project, with both groups sharing vocals throughout the song. The collaboration immediately attracted worldwide attention and debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming another historic achievement for BTS and Coldplay alike. But one of the most memorable surprises came during the live performances that followed. At the American Music Awards in Los Angeles in November 2021, Coldplay invited BTS to perform My Universe together in front of a global television audience. Rather than keeping the spotlight on themselves, Chris Martin repeatedly stepped back during key moments, allowing each BTS member to shine while encouraging the audience to celebrate them. His body language throughout the performance reflected partnership instead of hierarchy, something many viewers immediately noticed. The respect did not stop on stage. During interviews surrounding the collaboration, Chris Martin consistently praised BTS not just for their popularity but for their discipline, kindness, and professionalism. He described working with the group as a joyful experience and emphasized that their success came from genuine talent and relentless dedication rather than luck. Those comments stood out because they came from one of America's and the world's most successful touring bands, whose opinion carried enormous weight within the international music industry. Another unforgettable moment happened during Coldplay's Music of the Spheres World Tour. Chris Martin invited Jimin to perform the Astronaut live in Buenos Aires in October 2022, shortly before Jimin began his mandatory military service. Although The Astronaut was a solo song by Jimin, it had been co-written by Coldplay, making the performance deeply meaningful for both artists. Number 6. An unforgettable television welcome, Jimmy Fallon. When BTS appeared on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, the experience quickly became much more than a routine promotional stop. While late-night television often follows a predictable format, Jimmy Fallon repeatedly found creative ways to make BTS feel like featured guests rather than international acts passing through for a quick interview. One of the most memorable examples came during BTS Week in September 2020. Instead of offering a single interview in one performance, NBC and Jimmy Fallon dedicated an entire week to the group. Across 5 consecutive nights, BTS performed different songs from unique locations throughout South Korea, including landmarks such as Gyeongbokgung Palace and the Seoul International Airport. The scale of the project was unusual for an American late-night program and reflected a level of commitment rarely given to any musical guest, regardless of nationality. Jimmy also made a clear effort to engage with each member individually. During interviews, he directed questions across the group instead of focusing exclusively on RM as the English-speaking spokesperson. This allowed members like Jin, SUGA, J-Hope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook to participate naturally, often through translators or shared conversations. That approach helped international audiences become familiar with every member's personality instead of seeing BTS as a single collective identity. Beyond the interviews, Jimmy embraced BTS's sense of humor. Whether participating in games, lighthearted challenges, or spontaneous conversations, he consistently created an atmosphere where the members appeared relaxed and comfortable. The chemistry between Jimmy and BTS became one of the reasons many fans viewed their appearances as genuine entertainment rather than standard promotional content. Jimmy's admiration also extended beyond the studio. Over multiple appearances, he openly praised BTS's performances, professionalism, and connection with their fans. Rather than treating their success as a passing trend, he acknowledged their global influence and the dedication that had brought them to the top of the music industry. Number 5. A public show of respect, Halsey. Halsey became one of the first major American pop artists to build a long-term creative relationship with BTS that extended well beyond a single collaboration. Their partnership began publicly with Boy With Love, released in April 2019 as the lead single from Map of the Soul, Persona. Although Halsey was credited as a featured artist, she repeatedly made it clear that she did not view herself as the centerpiece of the song. Instead, she emphasized that the project belonged to BTS and expressed gratitude for being invited to participate. Throughout the promotional period, Halsey consistently praised the group's professionalism, creativity, and work ethic during interviews with American media. Behind the scenes, Halsey shared rehearsal footage and photos that showed a comfortable and friendly atmosphere between herself and the members. Fans quickly noticed that she made a genuine effort to learn parts of the choreography rather than simply appearing for her vocal sections. That commitment reflected respect for BTS's performance culture, where synchronized choreography is as important as the music itself. The collaboration reached another level when Halsey surprised audiences by joining BTS live on stage during performances of Boy With Love, including at the 2019 Billboard Music Awards. Instead of treating the appearance as a brief guest spot, she fully participated in the choreography and interacted naturally with all 7 members. Her willingness to rehearse extensively demonstrated that she wanted to contribute as a true collaborator rather than simply capitalize on the song's popularity. Outside of performances, Halsey frequently defended BTS against misconceptions surrounding K-pop and Western media. During interviews, she encouraged people to look beyond stereotypes and recognize the group's artistry, discipline, and global impact. She also praised their songwriting process and the dedication they brought to every rehearsal and recording session. Those statements carried particular significance because they came from an established American artist who had experienced the collaboration firsthand rather than commenting from a distance. One of the most meaningful aspects of Halsey's relationship with BTS was how naturally it developed over time. She celebrated their achievements on social media, congratulated them on major milestones, and continued interacting with the members long after promotional activities had ended. BTS members also spoke warmly about working with Halsey, describing the experience as enjoyable and comfortable. The mutual respect was evident whenever they appeared together, whether during interviews, rehearsals, or live performances. What made Halsey's support feel like a genuine surprise was that she consistently used her platform to recognize BTS as equals in the global music industry, helping introduce them to wider Western audiences without diminishing their identity or artistic direction. It was a partnership built on shared respect instead of marketing strategy. And while Halsey's friendship became one of the most visible collaborations between American and Korean artists, the next name on this list created a surprise that happened long before BTS conquered the global charts. Number 4. A career-changing cosign, Steve Aoki. Long before collaborations between American pop stars and K-pop artists became common, Steve Aoki was one of the first major US musicians to publicly embrace BTS as creative partners. In 2017, at a time when BTS were rapidly gaining international attention but had not yet reached the peak of their global fame, Aoki collaborated with the group on the remix of Mic Drop, originally produced by Dogg and written by BTS alongside their longtime creative team. Rather than treating the project as a simple remix, Steve Aoki actively promoted it as a serious collaboration, helping introduce BTS to a broader Western audience. The remix became a commercial success, charting internationally and earning platinum certifications in multiple markets. It also became one of BTS's first English-friendly crossover hits, receiving substantial radio play in the United States. For many American listeners, Mic Drop, Steve Aoki Remix, served as their first introduction to BTS. Aoki repeatedly praised the group's work ethic and professionalism in interviews, explaining that he was impressed not only by their performance skills but also by their creative vision and dedication. His support did not end with one song. In 2018, he reunited with BTS for The Truth Untold, a track from the album Love Yourself, Tear. Unlike the high-energy Mic Drop, this song highlighted the group's emotional vocals and storytelling. Aoki later explained that he wanted to create a musical space where the members' voices could take center stage, demonstrating his willingness to adapt his production style to suit BTS rather than forcing them into his own sound. That decision earned praise from both critics and fans, who recognized the collaboration as an authentic artistic effort rather than a commercial experiment. Steve Aoki also spoke positively about BTS whenever he was asked about them in interviews. He described them as humble despite their growing fame and consistently highlighted the amount of preparation they put into every project. Coming from an artist who had collaborated with countless international musicians throughout his career, those comments carried significant credibility. He frequently acknowledged that BTS had changed global perceptions of what a Korean group could achieve in the international music industry. Beyond the recordings, Aoki welcomed BTS at live events and maintained friendly interactions with the members over the years. Their continued collaboration demonstrated that the relationship was built on mutual respect instead of a one-time promotional campaign. Looking back, it is difficult to overstate the importance of Steve Aoki's early support. At a time when many Western artists were still unfamiliar with K-pop, he chose to work closely with BTS and publicly stand behind their talent. That decision helped open doors for future collaborations between Korean and American artists, proving that music could connect audiences across languages and cultures. But even Steve Aoki's early endorsement was not the most unforgettable surprise on this list, because the next American artist offered something that resonated far beyond a single song or performance. Number 3. A personal gift of respect, John Legend. John Legend's interactions with BTS have never been defined by constant collaborations or frequent public appearances. Instead, they have stood out because of the genuine respect he has consistently shown toward the group whenever their paths crossed. One of the most memorable moments came at major American music events, where John Legend greeted BTS warmly behind the scenes and posed for photos with the members. While celebrity encounters at award shows are common, John Legend's public comments reflected something deeper than a routine introduction. During interviews, he acknowledged BTS's extraordinary global influence and recognized how they had expanded the reach of Korean music to audiences around the world. Coming from an EGOT-winning artist whose career spans decades, that recognition carried considerable weight. John Legend also praised BTS for connecting with millions of listeners across language barriers, emphasizing that great music does not depend on a single language to resonate with people. His remarks echoed a broader shift within the American music industry, where BTS had become proof that non-English artists could succeed at the highest commercial level without abandoning their identity. Another notable moment occurred during industry gatherings where BTS members and John Legend met backstage. Rather than treating the interaction as a quick photo opportunity, both sides appeared relaxed and respectful, with smiles and conversations that reflected mutual admiration. Although those meetings were brief, they symbolized how BTS had earned recognition from artists who were already firmly established in the American music scene. John Legend's acknowledgement also mattered because he has long been respected as both a songwriter and musician. His appreciation for BTS was centered on their artistry and impact instead of temporary popularity. By recognizing their achievements publicly, he helped reinforce the idea that BTS's success represented a meaningful cultural shift rather than a passing trend. While John Legend and BTS have not released music together, his support demonstrated that influence in the music industry is not measured only by collaborations. Sometimes, sincere respect from one of America's most accomplished artists becomes a memorable surprise in its own right. And with only 2 names remaining, the next artist delivered a moment of recognition that few fans expected, but one that quickly became impossible to forget. Number 2. A historic collaboration, Snoop Dogg. For years, the idea of Snoop Dogg working with a BTS member sounded like little more than a rumor. In early 2022, Snoop Dogg publicly hinted in interviews that he had something special in the works involving BTS. Those comments immediately sparked widespread speculation, but he deliberately avoided revealing details. Months later, the surprise was finally confirmed. The collaboration was not with the entire group, but with BTS leader RM on the song Bad Decisions, released in August 2022 by Benny Blanco. The track also featured Snoop Dogg, making it the first official recording that brought a BTS member and the legendary American rapper together. Rather than appearing as a novelty feature, Snoop Dogg actively participated in promoting the release. He spoke positively about RM's artistry and expressed excitement about finally working together after months of anticipation. His willingness to collaborate with RM reflected a broader recognition of BTS members as respected musicians within the American industry rather than simply international celebrities. The collaboration drew significant attention because it connected artists from very different musical backgrounds. Snoop Dogg is one of the defining figures in West Coast hip-hop, with a career spanning more than 3 decades, while RM had built his reputation as the leader and principal rapper of one of the world's biggest music groups. Despite those differences, the project demonstrated how contemporary pop music increasingly crosses genre and cultural boundaries. Bad Decisions debuted strongly on international charts, with RM's appearance further reinforcing his growing profile as an individual artist outside BTS activities. During promotional interviews, Snoop Dogg continued to speak respectfully about the collaboration instead of treating it as a gimmick. His comments reflected appreciation for RM's professionalism and for the global audience that embraced the project. What made this collaboration feel like a genuine surprise was the long period of uncertainty before its release. Fans spent months wondering whether Snoop Dogg's hints would actually lead to a real project. When the song finally arrived, it confirmed that one of America's most influential rappers had chosen to share a global release with a BTS member at a time when each member was beginning to explore solo opportunities. It became another example of how BTS members had earned recognition from artists whose careers had shaped the American music industry for decades. Yet even this unexpected collaboration was not the biggest surprise on the list, because the number 1 spot belongs to an American artist whose support for BTS became one of the most meaningful relationships the group has ever built outside Korea. Number 1. A friendship beyond music, Chris Martin. Among all American and Western artists who have interacted with BTS, few relationships have developed as naturally or as meaningfully as the one between Chris Martin and the members of BTS, especially Jimin. Although Coldplay is a British band, Chris Martin has spent much of his career working in the American music industry and has become one of the most influential figures on the global stage. His connection with BTS began publicly through the collaboration on My Universe in 2021, but what followed went far beyond a successful hit single. Throughout interviews surrounding the project, Chris consistently described BTS as kind, hardworking, and exceptionally talented musicians. Rather than focusing on their commercial success, he repeatedly highlighted their humility and their willingness to collaborate as equals. Those comments stood out because they came from an artist whose band had already sold millions of records and performed in stadiums across the world for more than 2 decades. One of the most touching moments came in October 2022, shortly before Jimin began South Korea's mandatory military service. Chris Martin and Coldplay invited Jimin to Buenos Aires, Argentina, to perform The Astronaut, a solo single co-written by Coldplay. During the concert, Chris warmly introduced Jimin to tens of thousands of fans, embraced him on stage, and celebrated the performance as a shared moment rather than a guest appearance. Before performing, Chris also presented Jimin with one of his own guitars as a personal gift. Jimin later revealed that the gesture meant a great deal to him, especially because he had long admired Coldplay and Chris Martin as musicians. The guitar was not a promotional prize or part of the concert production, it was a personal expression of friendship and respect between two artists. Throughout the performance, Chris encouraged the audience to cheer loudly for Jimin, while Jimin expressed his gratitude for Coldplay's support during an important transition in his life and career. The emotional significance of that concert became even greater because it was Jin's final major live performance before beginning military service. Fans around the world viewed the event as a heartfelt farewell, made even more memorable by Chris Martin's generosity and warmth. Their friendship continued beyond that night, with Chris speaking positively about BTS and Jimin in subsequent interviews whenever the opportunity arose. What makes this story stand above the others is that the surprise was not limited to a collaboration, an interview, or a backstage meeting. It became a lasting friendship built on mutual admiration, creative partnership, and sincere acts of kindness that were witnessed by millions. In an industry often driven by promotion and publicity, Chris Martin's support demonstrated that genuine respect between artists can create moments far more meaningful than headlines alone. And perhaps that is the biggest surprise of all, sometimes the most unforgettable gifts are not awards or chart records, but the friendships that endure long after the music ends.